Donald Trump can convince the Republican Congress to get rid of the income tax for a system of tariffs instead, ladies and gentlemen, the economy will absolutely explode like you have not seen since the Reagan years, maybe bigger. The explosion of capital and investment in the United States and the basically $30,000 or so raise a lot of people are going to get will absolutely blow our economy up like you've never seen before.
Abortion? Abortion? Abortion. Bullshit.
Okay, look, this video has nothing to do with support of Republicans or Democrat, with support of Biden or Trump or non-support of any of those groups. This is about money, period. And this is about the country that we live in and the situation that's growing now. We see that other countries like Canada and China and Mexico are are adding tariffs to American products that are coming into their country. But let's just hone in on exactly what this gentleman just said. This gentleman just said the first mistake that he made is that he's saying that if they were to get rid of the federal income tax, that a lot of people would all of a sudden have a $30,000 pay raise. Okay, that's only if you are single and making over $100,000. Would you see that kind of influx back into your paycheck? Otherwise, and in most cases, it's not even that low. It's got to be into the higher six-figure income level where you are making about $250,000 a year. Then you will see somewhat of a $20,000 to $30,000 return into your income. But most people who are making about $100,000 a year are only paying about $19,000 in taxes. People who are making, which is the average income for Americans, is around $54,000, $56,000. You are responsible for somewhat around $8,000 for your taxable income. But if you have family, if you have kids, those sorts of things, your taxable income goes down. Then if you are claiming a higher status because you know you're going to be able to deduct your house, your medical coverage, other things that you'll be able to take deductions for tax credit for your charities, things like that, you may be choosing a higher amount of dependence, so that lower amount is taken out of your check. So most people are not going to see a $30,000 increase in their pay because they're not going to be paying federal income taxes, which technically is illegal anyway. But you're not going to see that, a $30,000 increase. So that's the first falsehood of that video. Now, the other falsehood of that video is the fact of when you put a tariff system in place that is demonstratively larger, couldn't get that word out, than what we have been normally accustomed to, then what you're going to see is a higher price products in America, because it is not the companies who are going to pay these tariffs. And understand, if you own a retail store and you receive your products from another country, the other country is not paying the tariff. The retailer will pay the tariff, or the wholesaler in America will pay the tariff, pass that tariff down to the retailer then pass that tariff down to you. So you as the consumer will pay more money. So although you may have more money coming back in from not paying income taxes, most people are only looking at an increase in their check of about $8,000 to $10,000 per annual, but you're going to wind up spending that, if not more, in tariffs. Now, here's the other part that history demonstrates, and this was done under, I believe, a Democratic regime, because I believe it was done during FDR. It might have been the administration before him. Y'all can correct me on that one. But in order to abate from it was way before FDR, now that I think about it, in order to abate the issue of the 1929 recession or depression that happened in America, initially when it was just a repression, the American government tried to implement these larger tariffs on foreign countries. And when they did, in thinking that it would bring more income into America, what wound up happening is that, yes, more money came into the federal government, but it didn't facilitate itself down into the average consumer, and it was one of the things that added to the creation of the Great Depression. So although times are different now than they were then, economics are relatively still the same, function under the same process. It's kind of like math. Math is just math, no matter who is doing the math. So the fact that people are supporting a tariff on all these other foreign countries' goods coming into America, thinking that it's going to uplift the American economy, no, tariffs hurt your economy no matter who you are. This is why so many fair trade um, negotiations are done between countries so that the amount of money that the consumer is paying can be minimized. And take it now, I do agree with getting rid of the federal income tax. I don't like the federal income tax. I think it should be abolished. It's illegal in a sense anyway. But as far as that offsetting, the offset is not enough to grow the economy. And if you think that the wealthier people who are paying, 30,000 and above, 100,000, 200,000 in income taxes are going to filter that down to America, no, they're not. If you really wanted the money from the wealthy to stay in America and be reinvested in America, you wouldn't be so much focused on tariffs and the federal income taxes. What you will be more focused on is investment taxes that are outside of the country. Many capital gains are placed in vehicles outside of America, banks outside of America that don't report to the United States. And so their money is hidden and they never pay taxes on the interest that they gain by putting their money in certain banks around the world. There are over $1 trillion American dollars that are hidden in banks that do not report to America, so they don't pay taxes on the interest that they occur in those banks. If you really wanted to bring some investment money back to America, that's what you would focus on, something more along those lines. I'm not an expert economist. I am an expert at taxes, though. So this is not going to be as much of a boom as the gentleman in that video is making it out to be. It is actually going to be more of a hindrance because tariffs always drive up prices. Driving up prices are always going to be reflected back to the consumer. It's not ever going to be reflected to the country of origin, the manufacturer. It's not going to be reflected to the wholesaler or the retailer. It's going to be reflected to the consumer. So I know it's a little different than my normal videos, but always remember you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.